Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here at Book Blather. If you're new here, I'm Dave, this is Olive, and we try to have a little fun while we talk about books and some other things to help spread the joy of reading. So we want to jump on here real quick to do a little, we're going to try to be better about doing these TBRs, which if you've been around a while, you know from us, they're not really TBRs, they're sort of piles of possibilities, but we want to start doing those regularly just in case people want to join in with anything and give you an idea of what's coming up. So we're already into March and we forgot to do it already. So we just want our plans are very fluid, but we want to tell you what we have so far. We have some books to recap from February. So those will be coming up shortly, but we want to do this first since we're already well into March here. So we're going to be reading. We have a number of things on deck for March. We're going to be reading actually a couple nonfiction, but also some fiction, as always. So the first thing that we're going to be reading that it's on the way, and this is, what's the title of it? Atheism in the Ancient World. No. So it's called Battling the Gods: Atheism in the Ancient World by Tim Whitmarsh. So this is a book. Basically, it's what it sounds like. It basically discusses how, like, atheism is not like a new fad. It has always been a serious topic of discourse, going back since the beginning of belief in various gods, and I think in particular focuses on Greek culture. And we wanted to read this for a while. Ever since we heard Vin over at Revenant Reads talk about it, it sounded great. So we're definitely reading that. The second nonfiction book that we are definitely reading in the month of March is Too Much and Never Enough by Mary L. Trump. So this is a book that we just picked up recently that we mentioned when we picked it up, and this is a book that is obviously, this is by Donald Trump's niece, Mary Trump, and obviously is very critical of him. This is How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man is the byline here. So very interested to read that. Okay, then we also have there's the one book we didn't, like I said, we reviewed our stuff we read for Wasted Weekend, but we read a couple other things in February that we're going to be reviewing shortly. The one thing that had been on our TBR that we didn't get to was Sherlock Holmes. And so we probably going to read this in March since we didn't get to it. We have this nice big compendium that we got when we hauled my daughter's books. And so we were going to read A Study in Scarlet. And then there was also a short story that Erie recommended that we read along with that. And I forget what that is. I'm going to have to go double check that. What was that, Erie? Remind us which which short story that was. I'll go back and find your comment. But so we're probably going to read those in March because we had wanted to read those in February. We just didn't get to it. Had too much fun with our extended Wasted Weekend. That was a holiday weekend for us in the U.S. here. Okay, then we have some buddy reads. I forgot to mention the couple books we picked up. Okay, so we have a buddy read. We've been reading the Tarzan books with Dia over at Novel Idea. So we've been going through the series. We're now coming up on book 6, which is what we're going to be reading, I think, towards the end of March. This is Jungle Tales of Tarzan. So this is a little change of pace. This is we've been collecting these old Ace Science Fiction Classic editions. We just love these covers. So this one, a little change of pace. This one is a collection of stories, I think, from when Tarzan was younger. So, okay, another body read that we were going to do that I suspect we'll be putting off now to some future date I'll mention it because it's still a possibility, is that we were going to buddy read Dragons of Autumn Twilight by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. Now, anybody into fantasy is probably familiar with these, the Dragonlance Chronicles. The Dragonlance Chronicles was the first trilogy in a series that spawned many, many books. It's over 100 books by countless different authors. But there have been several main trilogies by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, the one that originally wrote this. This is not a Pulitzer winner, but it's relatively famous because it was one of the first big, popular fantasy series came out in the mid 80s. I think this one was 1984. And this follows, a bunch of it's typical quest. It was based on a D&D camp, Dungeons and Dragons campaign that the authors were having, and it follows these collection of misfits as they go on to try to save the world, this fantasy world of Kryn, from the evil forces that are that are moving against it. And so this is this special place in my heart. This book. This is one of the few books that I have read multiple times. It is probably the only book that I've read more than twice. I've read this a bunch of times throughout the course of my life. One of the first full-length novels that I ever read, maybe the first, I'm not sure. This is actually my original copy. As you can see, it has seen better days. It's been ripped, creased, dog-eared, everything. That's because I've been hanging on to this for what, three and I'm gonna date myself, 3.5 decades, more than that, but no, 3.5 decades, I guess. And so I've never gone through. I've read a number of the books, but I really wanted to go through all the Weiss and Hickman. I'm not gonna read all the Dragonlance books, but at least all the Weiss and Hickman ones, and there was a few series of that. And so I want to definitely do it this time. I want to start in the beginning. So somebody is going to buddy read this with me. So we'll probably see. I don't know if that's actually going to happen in March, but we'll see. Okay. So here's where I should pause to say we did pick up. We had a couple acquisitions that we picked up. So the first one was there's a little used bookstore that we go to sometimes. It's called the Westport Bookshop. It's in Westport, Connecticut. It's affiliated with Westport Library. It's a great little place. It's affiliated with the library and supports the library. Also employs adults with disabilities. So it's an awesome place. It's actually, there's a Barnes & Noble on the main road, and right behind that, parallel to that, there's a little back road, and that's where the Westport Bookshop is, so, competing with Barnes & Noble. But I always pop in there. A lot of times, they have books for, like, a lot of current books for relatively current ones for just a few bucks. So we picked up this, My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. A lot of people have talked about this book. We read a book by Stephen Graham Jones called The Night of the Mannequins, and we had a really good time with that. That was a short novella, but we had a really good time with that. Been meaning to read more by Stephen Graham Jones, but just haven't yet. So we heard a lot about this, so we picked it up while we were there. But the second thing is, our good friend MJ at Reading This Life sent us CB Angel by Larry Adcock. So this is a book about truckers, as you can see, and so this is a nice bit of trash, but that's been circulating around a little bit actually. So the little card in here, it was first Roy over at Roy Reads Anything, and then Ollie over at Criminolly read it, and then MJ over at Reading This Life. So now it's my turn. MJ was kind enough to send it off to me. My turn to read it, and then we'll be passing it along afterwards. So I think I know who's getting it next. But so we'll be reading this month, and then so. Because the stuff's so fluid, I'm not sure about a couple of these things. Oh, there was another one that we were going to read called City by Clifford Smack. And this is a book we've wanted. It's a science fiction novel. I think it's a fix-up novel that we've wanted to read for a while, ever since we've heard Michael K. Vaughan talk about it a couple times. It's one of his favorite all-time books, I believe. And that there are a couple people reading it this month. So it's on the way. I'm not sure actually that it's going to get here in time, the one we ordered, but I think it will and should be a quick read. So that's on the March list too. So because there's a couple things, City, Dragonlance, we're not sure of that if we're going to get to them. There's a couple other maybes. I'm sure we won't get to these, but the ones that are waiting in the wings is. And if we don't do these in March, we're going to be doing them in April, there's The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is on our list. We actually have a couple of copies of this book. We have an old traditional paperback too. But this we are going to be reading soon because um, the banned book project that's being run by MJ over at Reading This Life 24 and 24. So we're not reading 24 in 2024, but we are going to reading some banned books. So that's one of them. And then another one that we've been wanting to read for a while is On a Pale Horse by Piers Anthony. So this is part of a series that like the first, I think there's like 8 books in the series now or something. It's the incarnations of immortality. So like this guy you see here in the Corvette, that's death. And this is supposed to be really good. A lot of my friends read these when they were younger. Somebody gave me the first 4 books. I think it's up to like 8. But I never read any of them. And I just pulled this out of my stash recently when I was reorganizing. And, I'm like, this is so each month now, like for months, each month, I think maybe I'll read that. Maybe I'll read that this coming month. Maybe I'll read that this coming month. And because I really wanted to read it. And I just haven't yet. So let us know if you read any of these Incarnations of Immortality series and what you thought of it. Because like I said, we just heard good things. I mean, this is not Pulitzer winners, but I heard these were fun. And so we're definitely going to give this a try soon. And we'll see. I don't know if we'll get to squeeze in March or not, but we'll see. So, okay. So that's it for the already too long list and very fluid list of stuff that's potentially on the burner for March. So we have like I said, we have a number of books that we wanted to spend some time reviewing that we read in February, the non-waste weekend stuff, the non-trash. A couple of really good things that we read that one of which was Unplanned, that we want to talk about. And we also have an unbelievable used bookshop and great haul that we're going to be putting up for you guys very shortly, which we're very excited about. So stay tuned for those very soon. But thanks so much for watching. If you want to leave a comment about any of these books, we always love to hear from you. Or you could always leave Olive a puppy emoji because she always likes to see those, right? So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you very soon. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.